Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Overwatch Weekly. So, today we have a lot of things to talk about. So, we are going to jump into them with the first thing, which is patch 1.25.0.1, the June 26th, 2018 patch, or just in general, the big June patch. Every month they like to drop one big patch. This is the big patch for June. So, what does it add? Well, a lot of things. The first thing is the two new social features, endorsements and looking for a group. I've talked about these in the past in a video when these went live on the PTR, but for the rundown, endorsements, you can acknowledge players that in the game did good things. You can give good sportsmanship to anybody on any team except for yourself. Then there is shot caller and good teammate, which you can give to a teammate. And then you also have looking for group, which is where you can look for a group to play with. You look for a group of 6 people. You can have it where it's 2 attack, 2 support, 2 tank, or 2 damage if you want to call it that way. Or you can have triple tank, triple support, whatever you want to look for, however you want to play. You can look for a group that fits that need. The attack and defense role have been removed and have been combined into the damage role when you are picking your hero. That is another change, as well as some hero changes. So Doomfist had his Meteor Strike bonus movement speed increased from 150% to 200%, as well as the shield gain from his best defense passive ability. That shield gain was increased from 30 to 35 for his normal abilities. McCree had his Deadeye range increased from 70 meters to 200 meters. And Orisa had her supercharger ultimate cost reduced by 15%. But the big changes, of course, are Symmetra. Symmetra has gotten an entire rework. I talked about it in depth in a previous Overwatch Weekly. I will link that in the description so you can see everything you need to know about Symmetra. But I will also, of course, link to the patch notes in the description, as I do with every one of my Overwatch Weeklies. The final big thing with this patch is the changes to Horizon Lunar Colony, which are massive as well. I talked about those in a previous video as well. You can also see them in detailed on the patch notes and also in a video that I have in the description as well. Same video as talked about Symmetra. But that is it for the patch notes. If you want to read the patch notes in full, they will be linked in the description as always. We are going to move on to the next story, which comes from a blog post titled "Even Fitzy and Dante are calling Sombra bad/weak now." So, just a little bit of background for who Fitzy and Dante are. Fitzy is a streamer. He is a top 500 Overwatch player, and he plays Sombra. Dante is a DPS player for the San Francisco Shocks. They're both very good Overwatch players. They both specialize in Sombra, and they both are talking about how Sombra's pretty bad. And in this post, the poster, named Aster, says she has half the pick rate of pre-rework Symmetra. You said you'd keep an eye on her. Please tell me you have plans for Sombra buffs coming up or something, anything. She's my favorite hero and the only reason I continue to play Overwatch. I just want to know the dev team wants her to be good too, please. And good old Aster got a reply from Jeff Kaplan, where Jeff said, "We have changes going in for Sombra for our July patch. Most likely the changes will show up on the PTR sometime next week or soon after that. They are pretty significant. I'm not going to detail the changes for now as they are still in flux, but playtesting has gone well and we are eager to improve her." Now this comes from a week ago that Jeff said that, so there is no PTR patch right now. There hasn't been anything changed to Sombra just yet, but we can expect to see something soon added to the PTR, probably next week, maybe later this week. PTR updates don't have to go then, and I have a feeling we'll get it pretty soon, and I'll get to when in a second, but that is where we are with Sombra. So Sombra's getting some significant changes. What they are, we don't know, but getting something. Next was a massive post by Scott Mercer about SR in competitive play, because a lot of people seem to be kind of thinking that it works one way when it doesn't work that way at all. And I think Scott Mercer just kind of wanted to sit down and say, look, here's how it works and whatnot. So the rundown is, in the things that I find at least the most important, is that your SR is based on how you're favored during a match. There is nothing else that determines it. At the beginning of the game, it shows your like overall like average, right? If your average is less, you're not favored to win, is the way I assume it works. And if you win, you're going to get more SR, and you're going to lose less if you lose. Whereas if you're the favored team and you win, you're going to gain less, and if you lose, you're going to lose more. So there's also this conception that a lot of people had that if you were grouped up with people, you would lose more for losing. That's not the case, right? You could play with 6 people that you know, or 5 people that you know, and you're all in a group, and you could have the same average as if you were playing with 5 randoms, and you would lose or win the same amount no matter what you played if you played against the same team in every test, right? So there's a lot of things that people kind of didn't understand, or that there were problems that people had, and I think it's a very, very long post by Scott Mercer, but it's very, very, very good to read if you play competitive, and I, of course, will link it in the description. I recommend you read it if you enjoy competitive, and I think that it will explain a lot more better than I can. It is a little confusing if you are reading it and you just see a bunch of numbers and a bunch of technical statements there, but there is stuff there to look at if you want to read it. I think it's fascinating. I think it's really important to understand the way SR works, and the fact that they're actually going out and telling us explicitly that there is no penalty for playing with friends. It's based purely on the people you're playing with's skill level. So I will link that in the description. Read it if you are interested in it. That's where we're going to end that. And we're going to move on to the next story, which has to do with a hacker of Overwatch. The creator of the Overwatch's nuking hack program faces 2-year jail time. So, this program, the simple gist of it is, it would identify an enemy player's IP address, and it would DDoS them, and then it made it really easy to win. So, the creator made approximately 20 million won over the course of its sale, which is approximately 180,000 US dollars. So the hackers from South Korea, and a law was passed to stop stuff like this. And this is a big one that has come in. So 2 years is what it says for his jail time. It's a little bit different, I would say. It's a maximum of 2 years in jail and an $18,000 fine. I don't think he's going to get 2 years. From what I've seen, it seems like it's going to be a 1-year prison sentence and the fine. But it's good to see that there are people cracking down on stuff like this, because this is really bad. Because when you compare this to a lot of other hacking things, this one is really bad, right? They would DDoS people that they were playing against so that they could win easily. That's really bad. So I'm glad this guy's getting jailed. I'm glad this is something that we don't have to worry about anymore. So, good. Yeah, that's really all I can say. Good. Because stuff like this is a problem, really. So, I don't really have much else to say about this story. It's interesting to see other kinds of things, because there's been controversies surrounding cheating, of course, in the pros. You had a lot of different cheating, or not cheating, a lot of different like suspensions because of language or gestures that people made and whatnot. Then you also had people that were boosting, um, like OG and Sato boosted, and they got suspended. OG was for 4 games, and Sato was 30. So there is, of course, penalties for cheating in the game, but also now legal repercussions. So it's good to see that there are being there's punishments being handed out for people that are cheating and hacking, and I'm glad that we can hopefully make this game and community far better. But now you're on to the final bit of news, which is that there have been 2 teases that appear to be related to Hero 28. We don't know anything about Hero 28 yet. We don't know who Hero 28 is, but I will link to both teases in the description down below. I wouldn't be surprised if the Sombra changes hit the PTR at the same time that the new hero hits the PTR, if it is a new hero. But I will be making a video on the new hero when the new hero is released onto the PTR. So as soon as the hero is on the PTR, I will be making a video. I'll be sitting down recording it. As long as I'm around and I can record, I will record. So that is that. That is where I'm going to end off this week of Overwatch Weekly. If you guys enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing. I will see you all in the next video. And until then, goodbye.